is back into it in Chester. Here's El Senior. Yes! Yes!
The center back, Jacob Glesnes, is going for it.
Oh my God! What a goal! And that will do it! One of the best comebacks in recent years. 3 unanswered by the Union. And they go into the Gold Cup break, winning it 3.
Hello, welcome to the Free Kick Podcast. My name is Todd. And honestly, I have no clue how people aren't embracing the Philadelphia Union yet. I mean, this is the perfect time for people to hop on the train. Like, what are you waiting for, people? Now, granted, I'm not talking to you guys listening to this podcast because I feel like if you guys weren't Philadelphia Union fans, you guys would not be listening to this podcast at all. And just, here's a crazy stat I want to get out of the way really quick, though. In the last 7 games for the Union, Brenden Aaronson and Anthony Fontana have combined for 7 goals and 1 assist. 7 goals and 1 assist between these two players. Brenden Aaronson, 19 years old. Anthony Fontana is 21 years old. Now, granted, Anthony Fontana is getting the majority of those goals, but still, these are 2 guys who came through the system. I mean, I love these 2 homegrown players. Or I just love the homegrowns in general. And I was thinking about this. It's like when these guys were coming through the academy and everything, Jim Curtin, he didn't rush to put these guys out there on the field and everything. You know, he didn't want to get these guys exposed and everything and just kill their confidence, you know. These are young players that are playing professional soccer for the very first time. And if they go out there and have a terrible game or a terrible couple of games, that could just kill their confidence altogether. And who knows how they would rebound and everything. So I love Jim for picking the right times, the right moments to send guys out there and everything. And yeah, we want to see Anthony Fontana play a lot more than what he's playing. But, you know, when Jim's putting him out there, he's providing goals. He's providing goals big time. I was going to say assists, but no, Anthony's just scoring the goals and everything. And you got to give Jim credit. You see coaches around MLS and everything, they think, oh, let's go ahead and put one of these young players out there and everything, and let's see if they can give the team the spark, and they play terrible. And then they're like, okay, let's put another homegrown out there, see if they can give us a spark the team needs. They play terrible, and their confidence gets shot. Look at Austin Trusty, who's not having the best of times right now. We thought Austin Trusty and Mark McKenzie were going to be the 2 center-back pairings for a very long time for the Union, and Austin Trusty had his chances here. Didn't impress all that much. Colorado, they were like, okay, we'll take Austin Trusty off your hands. Thought that he would start out there. Hasn't really started too much for Colorado. So, you know, to Jim's credit, you know, he's not exposing these players and everything. He's putting them out there at the right moment, at the right time and everything. And they're taking every opportunity that Jim's given them. But before we get into the news and everything, I want to apologize for not giving you guys a review episode for the Cincinnati game and a preview episode for this Inter Miami game. You know, I just really wasn't feeling like my normal self. And I told you guys from the beginning when I started this podcast that I'm not going to give you guys content just to give you guys content. I'm going to give you guys good episodes. And if I feel like an episode's not going to be good, I'm just not going to release it out to you guys. So nothing to worry about. I just wanted to, you know, tell you guys, no, I didn't go MIA and you'll never hear from me again. Everything's good now and everything. No need to worry and everything. And let's just go straight in to the news. So starting off, we have a ton of news points to bring up since I told you guys, you know, I haven't given you guys an episode in the last couple of days and whatnot. So first off, let's start off with Seattle. They have reacquired defender Roman Torres from Inter Miami in exchange for a conditional first-round pick in the 2021 MLS Super Draft. This is a guy who I thought would be a day one starter for Inter Miami. I thought that he would be one of the players that would have a secure spot in their starting 11. He has a lot of experience in MLS and everything. He's won MLS Cup with Seattle, but it just, for whatever reason, did not work out for Torres at Miami. And who cares about the Super Draft? I think eventually there will be no Super Draft in MLS anymore. We know Ernst Tenner's already killed that. So it's basically Seattle getting Torres for a box of peanuts. But I guess if you're a new club like Inter Miami, I guess you're taking a couple shots on some of these players in the Super Draft. Odds are, you know, when you're paying a ton of money for DP signings or somehow getting Matuidi as a TAM signing. You're not going to rely on these players coming out of college and everything. So good luck, Torres, I guess, back to Seattle, but I care less. Point number 2, Matt Polster suffered a concussion against the Chicago Fire. This is a guy who we saw play really, really well against the Union when New England came into Chester a few weeks ago. It's a guy who's not a big superstar, but he's a really good glue guy. And it sucks if you're a New England fan. It sucks for New England in general. I mean, that's why I had to stop playing soccer, is because I suffered way too many concussions in my career. And the doctor was like, yeah, no offense, you're not going to be a professional soccer player. And with CTE and all that, it's just not worth the injuries anymore. And Polster came out and said, yeah, I don't remember much. And yeah, those concussions can be super duper scary and everything. And when this is your livelihood, I guess you don't, well, I guess you do have the chance to say, yeah, I'm not going to play soccer anymore. But, you know, when it's been your whole life and everything, I guess that would be a tough decision to say, yeah, this is one concussion in my career. Yep, never again. I can't remember anything. So I think Polster will come back strong and everything. It's just, it's super scary seeing players get concussions in any sport, but especially soccer. Like I said, you know, I can relate to it and everything, getting kicked upside the head and going head to head with people. So yeah, concussions are no joke, as we all know, with just seeing the ever-changing NFL CTE stuff that comes out, it seems like, all the time. But here we go. Point number 3, according to The Athletic, a source has told them that several affected MLS players don't want to travel and ask their clubs to send in letters. The clubs have the power to decline the call-up, but that can be risky for the players' national team standpoint. And so if you guys aren't paying attention, the upcoming international break is of the weekend of October 10th. And there's a ton of players we know in MLS that get called up for international duty, whether that's American players, whether that's players in lower South America countries, whether that's smaller CONCACAF country players. So I think this is huge. You know, MLS, this is why I've always hated international call-ups during the MLS season and everything, because MLS is still going on while these games matter in MLS, and sometimes these international breaks don't really matter. And so these countries call up these players and everything and say, hey, look, we know we don't call on you a lot and everything, but here's a meaningless game, and let's see if you have what it takes at the national team level. And if they impress, great. But, you know, they could be spending a lot more of their time playing for the MLS clubs, helping them get into the playoffs and everything. And so I think this is great with COVID and everything going on. I think this is great that the players don't want to travel for their countries. I think it's great that Don Garber came out and said, yeah, we're not going to release the players. The clubs came out and said, we're not going to release the players. Yeah, it sucks, because if you're a player for one of these countries where you're right there on the wire, where you could become a constant call-up for the national team, or maybe this is a team saying, okay, this is your last chance to get into the national team, and, oh, well, now you're getting denied to come and everything. We're never going to call you up again. It's just, like I said, these games matter right now for a lot of these teams in MLS. I mean, not a lot of these teams, all the teams and everything. And to lose a crucial player, that would be devastating for some of these teams. So with COVID, I agree this is the right decision and everything, especially with teams fighting to make the playoffs. Point number 4, sorry to bring this up, guys, but it does have to do with the New York Red Bulls. So they announced that they have hired former Barnsley manager Gerhard Struber, I hope I'm saying that name right, as the next head coach for the New York Red Bulls on a 3-year deal. New York Red Bulls had to pay Barnsley a $2 million fee for Struber. Struber helped Barnsley stay in the championship last year and helped Wolfsburger AC reach the Europa League in the 2019-2020 season. He's also coached at multiple RB Salzburg youth level, so it just seems like New York Red Bulls always stay in-house when they make these kind of signings, whether it's a current coach in the system or it's somebody that has prior experience. So not really surprising at all that they're staying with somebody that has ties with the Red Bulls organization, and not good luck to him. Hopefully he's just as bad as Chris Armas was, and hopefully we can just continue to beat up on the New York Red Bulls. But point number 5 is Brazilian striker Herber suffered a torn ACL when New York City FC faced Toronto last Wednesday. And look, I said this a couple weeks ago, I believe it was. We're just going to continue to see a lot of injuries, in my opinion. With these games just coming thick and fast and everything, we see it with the Union. Ray Gaddis gets hurt against Cincinnati. Jack Elliott's still not healthy. Kai Wagner finally gets healthy, but then gets hurt near the end of the Miami game. Anthony Fontana cramps up, says he's fine. El Brujo gets hurt, which we'll talk about that a little bit later. You look at there's so many players in MLS that I feel like there would be less injuries if these games weren't just right on top of each other. But, with COVID going on, with a good amount of these teams just wanting the season to finish, us fans wanting the season to finish, MLS has no other choice but to play these games every 3 days and everything just so they can get a completed schedule in. So hopefully we see less injuries, but I think until the end of the season, we're just going to continue to see huge injuries like these ACL injuries or major leg injuries in general. So sucks if you're a New York City fan. Again, most people listening to this podcast are nothing but a Philadelphia Union fan. So, yeah, you just hate to see guys have huge injuries like Joseph Martinez, Herber. I forget the guy who I said a couple weeks ago out in Portland, but ACL injuries, more times than not, you never come back the same and everything. So we'll see what happens with this. But here we go. Let's just stick with Philadelphia Union news for the last 3 points. Point number, 6, 7? I don't know. I lost count by now. But Kacper has made Team of the Week for his performance in Week 14 against Inter Miami with his 2 assists. And Anthony Fontana has made the bench. Anthony Fontana is also up for Goal of the Week, which I don't think he'll win, but we'll see what happens and everything. I think there was a couple other good goals. I think San Jose scored a 94th minute game winner against LAFC, which I believe is probably going to be the game winner. Bojan scored a great goal against New York Red Bulls for Montreal Impact. So Anthony Fontana is up against a lot of great goals and a lot of meaningful goals too this week. So we'll see what happens and everything. Union fans, do your thing. Vote as often as you can. I think you get 1 vote anyway. So just vote, and hopefully Anthony can collect this award, even though I don't think he will. But here we go. Point number 2 that has to do with Union. I think point number 7, 8. I'm not even going to count anymore. That is talking about the final stretch, the final schedule for the Philadelphia Union. So as we know, this upcoming Saturday, October 3rd at 7:30, the Union are playing Toronto FC. And then the Union play on October 7th. They are playing Cincinnati at Subaru Park at 7:30. That is a Wednesday. On October 11th, they are playing Montreal Impact in Subaru Park, which is on a Sunday at 7:30. October 14th, which is a Wednesday, they are playing down in D.C. at 8 p.m. On October 18th, which is a Sunday, they are playing New England once again in New England at 7:30. Really not looking forward to us playing New England. We've played them so many times this season. October 24th, which is also a Saturday, the Union are playing Toronto at Subaru Park at 7:30 p.m. And then on October 28th, which is a Wednesday, the Union are playing Chicago at 7:30, also at Subaru Park. Then they travel out to Columbus yet again on November 1st against Columbus, like I just said, which is a Sunday at 3:30. And then they wrap up the schedule with, you guessed it, yet again, the New England Revolution, November 8th, which is a Sunday at 3:30 p.m. And I believe that game against Columbus is going to be on ABC. So, yeah, this is going to be a great time for the Philadelphia Union. Sucks that we're playing New England yet again, 2 more times. I would have liked to have seen Atlanta, maybe New York City, maybe the Red Bulls again. I don't know. But, yeah, it's just we've seen New England so many times, and I feel like we're bound to lose one of these games. But who knows? And if you guys were keeping track of the days and everything, it looks like the Union are playing every 4 days and everything. And like I talked about a couple minutes ago, it's going to suck seeing players get injured, because when you have this many games this fast, injuries are going to happen. And finally, the last bit of news I want to give you guys is last Wednesday, Tom Bogert announced that the Union and RB Salzburg having an agreement in place for the transfer of Brenden Aaronson. Brenden will stay with the Union until the end of this current season. And real quick, because I've spent so much time on the news, I think this is a great move, even though it's a Red Bull affiliate. You can't discredit some of the players that Salzburg have helped produce over the years. You look at Erling Haaland, the Norwegian striker, Kevin Campbell, the Slovakian center defensive midfielder who has played for Leverkusen and the Bundesliga. Look at Sadio Mane, Liverpool left winger, fantastic player. You look at Naby Keita, also playing for Liverpool. You look at Lazaro, who is a young, upcoming Austrian product. And there's so many other examples I can give to you guys, but those are just some of the names that stick out to me. There's a team who they give young players chances. Brenden Aaronson is 19 years old, going on 20 years old. Jesse March, the American coach who used to coach the Red Bulls, is at Salzburg. I think he's going to give Brenden plenty of chances and everything. And I think with the Union playing the same system that the Red Bulls play, I don't think Brendan's going to have a tough time adjusting to how Salzburg play. I don't think he's going to have a tough time adjusting to the Austrian league. It's going to be great that Brendan's going to get a chance of European football, whether that's in the Champions League or more times than not, Salzburg get knocked out of the Champions League and go and play in the Europa League. But still, to have a chance to play European soccer, I know I said football a couple of seconds ago, at such a young age, man, the sky's the limit for Brenden Aaronson. And if he impresses as much as he has for the Union with Salzburg, then he won't be over in Austria very long, in my opinion. And neither will Jesse Marsh, in my opinion, whether that's, he's been linked with Dortmund. I can definitely see it being a Bundesliga club. And if Brenden continues to play as well as he does for the Union, for Salzburg, wherever Jesse Marsh ends up, I would not be surprised if Brenden Aaronson goes with him. This is just a great step for Brenden. And I know it's not official yet, but so many people are reporting it. I would love to hear how much money the Union are getting. I know I've been a firm believer of $4 to $4.5 million with a 10 to 15% sell-on clause, but with the way Brendan's playing, hopefully they didn't agree to a set price right away. Hopefully they just agreed, okay, yeah, we'll sell you Brenden, but we don't have a price in mind yet. So as long as Brenden keeps playing, hopefully that price just keeps going up and up and up, and Salzburg won't say, okay, well, you guys are asking for more money right now. We're not going to give you guys a sell-on clause. Nah, give us more money, give us a sell-on clause, but I have 100% trust in Ernst Tanner. I know he's going to do what's best for the Union, for this team, because I've said it so many times, and I will continue to say it. Ernst Tanner hasn't failed us. He will not fail us yet. In Ernst, we trust. So let's go ahead and talk about the Philadelphia Union versus the Inter Miami David Beckham's, which that game ended 3-0 to the Philadelphia Union. And honestly, I just feel like there is so much to talk about this game. And I hate having these episodes go past the 45-minute mark, because I know when I'm starting to listen to podcasts, which I don't do often, if an episode's going longer than 45 minutes, yeah, I start to tune it out. And I don't want you guys to tune me out. And if you guys do, yeah, I definitely understand. But look, I said it earlier in the intro. I just don't know how people aren't embracing this team yet. In the Union's last 9 games, they have collected 20 of a possible 27 points. They have 6 wins, 1 loss, and 2 draws. This could honestly be the best Philadelphia Union team that we've ever saw. I mean, last year's team was pretty special. We all know. We'll never forget their first playoff win against the Pink Owls. We saw them come back so many times last year, while this team really hasn't had a comeback at all this year. They're always scoring first, it seems, and they're never having to play from behind. Do I think this team could play from behind? Yes. But we just haven't needed it that much. I think I said this also earlier on a earlier episode, but I'm going to say it again. And I feel like, you know what? Actually, I know my dad likes to troll me, and he says, wow, you really like the Union more than Manchester United. I can't believe it. And yeah, it is crazy to think that the day finally came where I chose an MLS team over Manchester United. I never thought that would happen and everything. I thought, it would always be European soccer and then MLS. But nope, it's happened. And it all started with going to games last year. And my sister being a Liverpool fan, I'm sure she could probably say the same thing. It's Philadelphia Union over Liverpool. Even though Liverpool have looked good the last couple of years under Jurgen Klopp, but it's just, and I don't want to speak for her, but I have a feeling it's the same way for her. It's just, what isn't to love about this team? I mean, we get to go see games in person. We get to shake the hands of the players pre-COVID. We get to take pictures, get autographs. I mean, these guys will have a honest conversation with you. They don't think they're better than you. And that's really what's probably turned me on more than anything, where I choose the Philadelphia Union over Manchester United is I take that hour trip going up to Chester, where I can interact with these players and everything. These guys are coming from the Philadelphia area. And yeah, even though I'm not from Philadelphia, I still feel like I'm a part of the community because I'm a Union fan. I support a Philadelphia team. These guys that are coming through the academy, they just have that Philly grit in them. And it's just so cool going up every week, every other week, pre-COVID, going to watch these guys play live in person. That's something that I can't do every week. I can't fly every week to go watch Manchester United. She can't fly every week to go watch Liverpool. So, I mean, it's so special where you have your quote-unquote local team. I know, an hour drive, where some European people are listening to this podcast and like, wow, you drive an hour and an hour back to go watch this team. Yeah, I do. Where, you look at a lot of these European people, they're taking trains and everything, or they're just taking a walk to the stadium. Nope, driving an hour away to go watch my quote-unquote local team. That's how dedicated I am, and a lot of these people listening to this podcast are. They will drive because they are that dedicated to watching the Philadelphia Union. Like I said, you have the local kids, the guys who didn't get much of a chance in Europe, and you have a good veteran presence on this team. They are all so hungry, and this is the perfect time to hop on the train, to hop on board, because this group is really, really special, and I believe once the playoffs come here, this team is going to make some noise. They're not going to just win one playoff game. They're not going to win just 2 playoff games. No. I think there's a real possibility that this team goes all the way to MLS Cup and possibly wins it now, bearing any injuries and everything. Hopefully they can keep winning. But that's how good this team is. That is how good this team is. And like Rich Laurie also commented on my tweet, he said, even the coach is from Philly. This is a hardworking, blue-collar team. And I'm quoting somebody else, just like Kevin Kincaid said, these guys are just super relatable. They're easy to cheer for. They don't think that they're better than anyone else. They don't have that supermodel girlfriend you see so many Euro players have. They don't have the luxury cars. They're just so easy to cheer for. They have that mean Philly grit. This team is just, this is my 3rd time saying it in the last minute. They're just so special. And I know you guys that are listening to this podcast, you guys know it too. And only if we can get the rest of Philadelphia to see it. Or in my case, I want to turn Harford County into Philadelphia Union fans, not DC United fans. Let's make Harford County into a Philadelphia Union area, not DC United. Screw what DC United are doing, Make that hour drive up to Philadelphia or Chester, to be technical. It is worth it. It is worth it with this team, where you get so much. And yeah, it sucks, not being able to go to all the events and everything because I live an hour away, not getting to go to bars and hang out, watch away games with a lot of you guys and everything. But it still doesn't mean that I'm not down here supporting this team. What I would love is to get so many fans in Harford County into the Philadelphia Union where on away games that we could pack some restaurant up and just watch the Union games. I think it's possible. And it's not going to be just me. It's going to have to be other people that live in Harford County or just other people in general. Like, I would love more than anything just to turn Maryland from a DC United, quote unquote, DC United fan base into a Philadelphia Union fan base. Like, I really think it's possible. An hour drive is not that bad. I know there's plenty of you guys in Maryland listening to this podcast who aren't a soccer fan, aren't a Philadelphia Union fan. But seriously, an hour drive is not bad at all. This team is special. And it's just the perfect time to become a fan. And, it sucks we won't be able to see Mark McKenzie and Brenden Aaronson one more time in person before they're off to Europe. And by the way, shout out to the Our Union Zoom group for weathering the rain and going to the stadium to cheer on the team from the outside. I mean, this team just doesn't just score on the counter. They score because they press the opponents in the defensive half, like we saw Brenden Aaronson do to get the third goal last night for the Union. They can put a few passes together to break down a stingy defense like we saw for El Senior's goal. The second goal, that El Senior goal, Aaronson was outstanding to dribble out of the tight corner on the right side of the field. Eventually, he gets the ball back from Sergio Santos, I believe it was, and dribbles it into the middle of the field, unmarked, has tons of space, finds Demiro out on the left, who then passes the ball to Kacper. El Senior makes a terrific run and has an easy tap-in. That play right there is what makes Brenden Aaronson so special, which give us another million RB Salzburg if we have not agreed a fee. This is a team that just, they finish their chances. 7 shots all night with 5 of them on target. And with those 5 goals that were on target, 3 of them were goals. They've been so clinical as of late. And I don't see why that won't continue. Anthony Fontana continues to be on fire while he added another goal. And he continues to give amazing press conferences, which I want to play real quick, his comments on Higuaín and that whole penalty miss that Higuaín had. So here it is.
But after the game, Higuaín came up to me. I think he got me and Kai mixed up because he was pointing at me saying something, and I didn't understand. But I said, hey, good game.
Like, how doesn't you love Anthony Fontana? Before this, he was talking about, usually I don't start. And I guess so I don't cramp up, I need to drink more water, have more bananas so I don't cramp up when I get starts. Like, this dude is just so full of confidence right now. He's giving hysterical press conferences. Going to Gonzalo Higuaín, who almost won a World Cup with Argentina, who has played for top clubs in Europe, and says, yeah, I have no clue what you're saying to me right now, so I'm just going to tell you, good game. And by the way, I'm not Kai Wagner. I don't speak German. But, how don't you love Anthony Fontana? And I'm so happy that he's getting the chances, and I'm so happy that he continues to score goals. And, yeah, that $7 million that you spent into Miami, yeah, that was worth it, right? For Higuaín to get so rattled by the Union. And so many people are calling the Union classless for celebrating Higuaín's penalty miss. Yeah, I'd be celebrating too, because you came over to this league as your quote-unquote retirement. You were on the floor all night long. You complain all the time for fouls against you. Your team played dirty. I mean, Ben Sweat is you guys know, for pulling on El Brujo's shoulder. So let's not act like Miami did nothing wrong this game. If anything, I'd be mad if I'm a Miami fan that none of the other players went to defend Higuaín when he went to attack Kai Wagner, and all the Union defense in El Brujo and Sergio Santos were there to back up Kai Wagner. It's like, dude, you missed your penalty and everything. Yeah, Glesnes celebrates right next to you. Kai Wagner probably said something to you and you get triggered, but you're supposed to be this big superstar and everything, who's played all over Europe and everything. Like, shouldn't you be a lot more level-headed? Shouldn't it be a lot more harder to rattle you? Obviously not. And I feel like a lot of teams in MLS are going to see that reaction. Like, oh, wow, look what the Union did to get Higuaín off of his game. I feel like we're going to be seeing this a lot more when Miami play whoever, and teams are just going to be rattling Higuaín, and he's just going to do a complete fit and everything. And yeah, Higuaín, if you thought you were going to come over here and be the highest paid player and not have to work for that money, you were sadly mistaken. You were so sadly mistaken. If that's the case, you might as well go to Serie A and everything where you got paid a ton of money and didn't have to work that much. But yeah, it's just some of my thoughts and everything. And I'll give you guys 3 good points and everything. And spoiler alert, I don't have anything negative to say about this game. I mean, what's there to complain about other than, some cramping up and everything and Higuaín's fit, but that's not a Philadelphia Union issue at all. The Union's defense played great, kept a clean sheet. Homegrown players continue to score. El Senior scores. Everybody's happy. So I have 3 points and everything I want to give you guys. 1, the back line was so excellent on the night. Glesnes did not lose a single header on the night, I believe. Was just constantly making interceptions and tackle. Mark McKenzie had Higuaín in his pocket all night long. Glesnes completed 7 out of his 14 long ball passes to split open the Miami defense. And Bizo and Kai Wagner were strong on the flanks, not letting any Miami players run by them. And just Andre Blake came up big with some crucial saves. And I knew Tommy Smith was complaining, who's not guarding Ben Sweat? They're giving away too much time. Okay, that's fine. Kai Wagner and Bizo giving those guys all the time in the world on the flank, that's fine. They weren't doing anything when they were getting the ball, so I don't know why Tommy was complaining. Sometimes I feel like he complains just to complain and everything, but yeah, there's literally nothing you can complain about this defense. Andre Blake, they all played outstanding on the night to get, I believe, the Union's 5th shutout on the season. Point number 2, Kacper. Just so unselfish on the night. I think his passing for a striker is just really underrated, in my opinion. Everyone expects the big strikers just to be a target man, nothing else. But Kacper is so much more than that. He's good at running into the channels, opening up defenses. He's good at sending in crosses. And he can also pick out a teammate, making a run into the box, into the top of the box. And I believe Jim said last year in one of his press conferences that they were messing with Przybyłko at the 10 position. And yeah, let's see Kacper at the 10 position. Why not? I mean, this is a guy who's just not your ordinary target man. This is a guy who's really good at picking out players, like I said. He's got a really good pass on him, and I'm happy Kacper is playing well. Happy that he picked up his 2nd and 3rd assist on the night and showing that he's a lot more than just a player that can score goals and everything. And he does so much dirty work and everything, and I think a lot of times, like I said, just his work off the ball or when he's not scoring goals, I feel like it just goes underrated by a lot of fans, and whether that's Union fans or just fans of MLS in general. And the last point I want to bring up is just El Brujo. And look, I'm going to keep talking about this dude's grit every single week. Dude's shoulder gets popped, carries on. Dude's 5'9", and he's winning headers. Dude has the hops. His engine never gives out. Dude's running full speed up until that final whistle. Yeah, 3 tackles, 3 interceptions. Dude was just a major reason why the Union, in my opinion, won the midfield battle against Miami. And it just feels so nice to have a guy actually play defense as a number 6. And every time I talk about El Brujo, I don't want to turn this into bashing Harris Mdunian because, like Jim said, he's probably the best passer in MLS. Great crosser of the ball. But for all the good that Harris offered, dude couldn't play defense. And now we have a player that plays defense who's a lot better. We talk about this all the time. Was a lot better than advertised with his passing capabilities. And I'm sure it's probably taken Ernst Tinner by surprise as well. So yeah, just love it. And there was another point I wanted to bring up that I did not write down, which after I'm done recording this episode, I'm going to regret it. But, as we wrap up this episode and whatnot, I want to go into Blunder of the Week. And, I want to give it to just all the terrible VAR calls in the Premier League over the weekend, but I feel like that's just way too simple because I could give that Blunder of the Week every single week, and you guys would be tired of hearing that. So this week, I'm going to give my Blunder of the Week to head coach of the Montreal Impact, Thiery Henry. You might be asking why. Well, I believe his team's just totally undisciplined. They've picked up 4 red cards in the last 5 games, whether that's because they lose their cool or they make a stupid foul and don't realize they're already on a yellow card. It's just, these guys are just unaware. And you're not going to win many games when you can't finish a game with 11 men on the field. I think it has to be frustrating for Thiery Henry that he keeps seeing his team pick up yellow cards and red cards. And I guess if you're a Montreal fan, well, at least you can't say your team's not used to playing with 10 men, because 4 out of the last 5 games you've picked up red cards. And I think that speaks really, really poorly of how undisciplined this team is for Montreal. So Thiery Henry and the Montreal Impact, you guys are getting my blunder of the week. But, you know, I should have one more episode before I go on vacation, which should be a preview of this upcoming Saturday Toronto FC game against the Union. Trying to convince Brad to record an episode while I'm away on vacation, but we'll see what happens. Maybe we can pressure Brad on Twitter and have him record an episode while I'm away and whatnot. But if it doesn't happen, then hey, it's no big deal and everything. I mean, you guys survived a couple days without me giving you guys 2 episodes that you deserve. So you guys won't die if I don't give you an episode again for another week. So maybe you guys will. Maybe the podcast is that good that you guys just can't go about your week without listening to the podcast, which if that's the case, I definitely appreciate you guys. And I should definitely be sending you guys some Philadelphia Union merch your way. But if you guys aren't following the podcast on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, follow at Free Kick Pod. Check out the website, thefreekickpodcast.com. Wherever you get your podcast, just search The Free Kick, Todd Lewis. And yeah, just if you have friends out there, if you have family members that aren't into the Philadelphia Union yet, let's honestly go out of our way and turn these guys into Philadelphia Union fans. I don't care if you have to tie them up to a chair, force them to watch the TV, keep their eyeballs open so they don't fall asleep. Whatever you have to do to turn people into Philadelphia Union fans, because this is the time, people, to come aboard the Philadelphia Union train. Like I said earlier, this could be the best Philadelphia Union team that we have ever seen. And I can't wait to see what the next couple of weeks have to offer us Union fans. But until then, my name is Todd, and this is The Free Kick Podcast.